the session was called Preclinical Rheumatoid Arthritis. Can we stop RA? I'm like, wow, I want to go to that. Which I have to preface. It's funny. We realized that they're really doing a good job of jazzing up the titles to suck us in. And then we get there and it's about the microbiome and having bacteria.
I dug into it and I was like, yeah.
Fecal matter and also in the salivary glands and
we get samples.
And yeah, so it was just it's just a good example of like, wow, and then like, oh, poop.
What did Effie say? She said something like, and again, shout out to Effie. She's like, we got catfished in by the words they were using.
But no, it was, but the information was really good. And one of the things that they're talking about in this in particular, because gut micro, the bacteria, this is not new. We've heard of all of this for being triggers to rheumatoid arthritis for quite a while. But what they started talking about was how they can use it to predict RA from happening. And I have to go back in our debriefs from a couple of years ago because I really can't remember when.
I did one that was very into the whole poop and all that, and it was a gentleman. I did that one, again, being a dietitian, that was kind of what the microbiome, I got into it and I like disseminated it, and this one seemed very much like it.
Yeah, so there have been several, and there were a couple that we saw, I want to say a year or two ago, that was talking about trying to use treatments to stop rheumatoid arthritis from ever starting. So if you had certain biomarkers like rheumatoid factor positive, ANA, ANCA positive, like there were certain biomarkers that we know are strongly associated with RA, family history, those kind of things. And we did see some studies presented previously that they cited, they mentioned them today. And it was saying that while it did not prevent these people from getting it, it delayed. So by starting the treatment earlier, it delayed. So who knows what will happen from that as we move forward. You follow these people longer, do they ever get aggressive disease? And that's a very good question, because we do know that people who have those biomarkers tend to have more aggressive disease. So it'll be really good to see as we move forward if these, if these people are followed, if they were almost pre-treated, if you will, with a disease modifying agent, will they develop a serious RA? So prevent, or is it prevent all the way? Is it keep it at bay so it does not become severe? So that's still a question that we have to go.
They were using the metaphor of a candle flame and then like a bonfire and then like a forest fire. Like forest fire is full blown RA, but if we can see that candle, can we blow that out? Yes. So I thought that was a good metaphor as far as stopping it before it started, and the difference between an itty bitty little candle and like a huge forest fire.
Called it the stairway to RA.
Yes. And I think he also mentioned a few times the slogan, I guess, intent to prevent. So, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, he said prediction, two-part question. Where am I on the staircase? And if so, if I'm on it, what step am I on? I thought that's good. That's a good analysis. Really so basically, good. Will I get RA and when? Yeah. And so it had a lot of good information as far as the fact that they're testing this. So that's, I think, the message we want to bring across. We're not going to try to relay all of the science and the specific studies to you. It is a person living with the disease. Is the thing to know are these studies are happening, and they are starting to at least unravel that there are some ways to predict at least these microbial signatures, and that's the word signatures keeps coming up again too. Yeah. I know that has been a researcher term for a long time, but now with the whole precision medicine, it just got a different adjective in front of it. Yep. But I keep seeing fill in the blank signature, and so it just again has that precision medicine sort of flair or feel to it. Oh, it even says, I'm literally looking at in my notes, if the certain biomarkers were higher than these that are in some of the new signatures that they're finding in the microbial structures, those could eventually add to these other biomarkers we already know and become future biomarkers. So there you go. Biomarkers is precision medicine. So da-da-da.
Awesome. Interesting. Yeah.
Put that together. Let's see. Katie, what did you take? Did you go to this one?
The preclinical RA?
Oh yeah, you did. You did,
yeah.
because yeah, okay. The other one. So what else do you want to add to this?
That it was very hopeful that, you know, future generations won't have to go through what we did. And then I know it gives people resources, especially like family members who might, you know that it runs in your family, you know, can I do anything proactively? And I know he emphasized educating patients and educating them on what tests they can take and the test results, what they mean. And if there are any changes.
Too.
And
they said both,
absolutely,
making sure doctors know what they could test for too.
And knowing when those changes happen, what changes happen to get in right away for treatment. So, and even earlier treatment and earlier diagnosis. So all very hopeful. So I love it.
I'm going to pull up 3 other points that I have highlighted here in my notes. The first one is we're talking about pre-treatment. And so one of the things as a patient, think about this. So you get diagnosed with something and then I have to find a treatment. And even getting access to that treatment sometimes is difficult, right? Mm-hmm. Because your insurance or your health agency or your government or whomever is mandating your access to treatments is doing some level of deciding when and how you get that. So here we're trying to target before a diagnosis happens. So there's a question mark. That's in trials right now. What happens when it hits the real world? So they did pose that question. You're going to hit a wall at some point. So can we even get that type of addressing and preventing, treating before it actually is diagnosed? Is that even able to happen? Number one. And number two, what is the ethical implication? So these treatments have high potency. And so knowing that, they talked about really having doctors and patients have to do that benefits, risks discussion, shared decision making, something we keep bringing up, where you're talking to your doctor, you're communicating, because you would need to really be able to discuss, do I want to be on a more aggressive therapy in the hopes of either preventing or potentially ensuring that my disease does not progress
any further
to a level, you know, so communication is going to be really important. They also did say, to clarify, there is no robust data, there's no in-depth research that suggests that diet or exercise can prevent RA. But we do know from past conferences that smoking there is data that shows, particularly smoking with the ANCA and positive ANCA and positive RA factor, do equate worse disease. That is shown many times. So even though they're saying a lot of these external influences may not equate prevention, I just want to remind everybody that smoking is one of those external factors. And then he said at the end that he said, instead of saying the patient is ACPA positive and has positive rheumatoid factor and arthritis, why don't we do an autoimmune and say ACPA positive and fatigue? And my response, I didn't say it there, but in my head, was, why not all 3? Like we always say auto plus arthritis. So why would it have to stop? Why can't it just be ACPA plus fatigue plus arthritis? Then you're zeroing in on biomarker, autoimmune, arthritis. Mm-hmm. Another ba-dum-bum. So, I mean, that's what, so I didn't say it in the chat, but You know, that's just my 2 cents. So there you go.